So with the log entries, Ram, where do you start?
When you click on the Learning Log section of the Trainee's ePortfolio, you should be presented with this overview screen. Before rushing to look into each log entry, just take a moment to look at the few of the columns that you can see on this page view.
So which bits of the screen are useful though?
One of the first things to do is to look at the number of entries. Looking at this particular trainee, what do you think, Krish?
Well, the trainees only added 7 entries, and that's in a 6-month period.
Yes, and you know what? That equates to roughly 1 a month, which is pretty poor.
So I should tell him or her just to add more and get their finger out, should I?
Well, actually, before advising the trainee to add more, one thing I would check with them is to make sure they are ticking the Share Entry tab, in case they've got a few that are hidden away.
But how many should they have, Ram? What's an enough number of entries?
Well, if a trainee is reflecting on experience, you should expect them to see at least 3 entries per week, and that's in a GP post. Maybe one relating to half-day release, another relating to a tutorial, and maybe one from something like a clinical encounter or a professional conversation, for example.
But Ram, is that realistic when they're in hospital post?
Yes, it can be, but it varies from post to post. We all know that hospital life can be busy and tiring, so a realistic number for those should be around 2 a week. But this bit's interesting, Krish. Did you know that if a trainee adds only 1 entry per week, then after a 3-year training period, they'll have more than 20 pages of log entries?
Okay, so I've got that. So low numbers mean a trainee isn't using his or her e-portfolio in a reflective way?
Yes, that's right, but sometimes a trainee might have low numbers, but what's there is actually lengthy and deeply reflective. And if that's the case, and if they're linking that to several curriculum statement headings, and you can also link them to a large number of professional competencies, then that may be okay. I think the key message here is to have your alarm bells ringing if the numbers are low, but to look at each case individually.
So if they've got a lot of entries, Ram, I can be more relaxed, is that right?
Yes, kind of, but a high number of log entries should ring alarm bells too. High numbers can be the result of a diligent, conscientious and reflective trainee, but unfortunately what is more often the case is someone trying to cover up something. From experience, when I've come across a trainee with masses and masses of log entries, I'm no longer surprised at them being superficial in nature with little analysis, reflection and learning. Right, okay, Krish. Let me give you another scenario and you tell me what you think about this. What would you say about a trainee who was initially making effective use of the portfolio and had a number of entries at the start of a post or perhaps a previous post, but then all of a sudden they've stopped? What do you think?
If they were doing okay at the start and then it's all of a sudden stopped, I'd wonder what was going on in their life.
Yes, now that makes sense. They may be having some sort of difficulty either at home or at work, and you'll find it's something like that which usually puts a spanner in the works. And that may provide the opportunity that encourages them to open up and tell you more.
Okay. Is there anything else on this screen while we're here to look out for then, Ram?
Yeah, while you're on this page, see whether the trainee is adding entries in a timely way.
So how do you do that then?
Well, look at the dates. You might, for instance, see that whilst there's an adequate number of entries, most have been added the week or 2 before your educational supervision meeting with them. That usually means that the trainee isn't using the e-portfolio as a reflective tool in their post, and you should consider having a discussion about that with them. Now, if you look over towards the left of the page, can you see here how, despite the fact that this trainee has a low number of entries, they are actually recording a variety of different types of learning activities, not just activities from, say, half-day release. For example, can you see here there's a couple of professional conversations and, more importantly, a number of entries relating to the real-life experience of clinical encounters.
That's a good point. So are we done with this page now?
Well, just one final thing and then we're done, alright? The other thing I can see on this page is that the clinical or educational supervisor is actually reading their log entries, and as you can see is occasionally making comments. No doubt this would make you feel happy knowing that you don't have to trawl through them all. But if this wasn't the case, then I would encourage a trainee to try and get their clinical supervisor to read some of them from time to time. Now we're done with this page.